We're live. Hello, everybody. This is Carina, Break Fair Fund Freedom. And today we have a guest, a beautiful guest, Kevin Robinson, who you probably know. We spoke to him about, 6 months ago, perhaps. And yes. So we're going to have a bit of a follow-up, and he's got some exciting news that he's doing a whole lot of new projects that have been inspired by life, right? And you'll notice that Dino's not here today. He's on his beautiful mission of changing the world, speaking to the world. So we're not going to see him for a while, but he'll be back soon. So on that note, hello, Kevin. How are you today?
Not too bad. Good morning. How are you, Carina?
I'm awesome. Thank you, Kevin. And it's so cool to have you here, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for reinviting me. I mean, I appreciate it. Gives me a chance to, I guess, vent sometimes.
Yes. It's a perfect platform for that, right?
Right.
So I know that the last episode, and just by the way, I will have that episode in the description box, so you can go and listen to it. It's been quite a popular one of our good one of our very exciting episodes. Okay. On that, so Kevin, tell us a bit about where you're at right now in your life, because we know that you've got a debilitating disease, but you've got so many exciting things happening anyway.
Right. Well, let me start with refreshing everybody. In 2007, I was diagnosed with limb-girdle muscular dystrophy. What that means is that my muscles in my arms and in my waist, I get atrophy. They become weaker as time progresses. Now, I've learned over the years how to slow that down, eliminating stress, learning to eat right, doing, yoga and other exercises to try to slow it down within means, because I still can overwork myself. Other than that, it's been pretty much an up and down thing with me with this. It's still a big adjustment. Like I said, I got this when I was 40. And it's not something that you catch, but I say it like that because up until that point, I served in the military, United States Air Force, worked for 2 Fortune 500 companies as a manager. So I had a pretty good life. And this happened, and it spun everything out for me. I went through several years of massive depression and trying to raise 3 little ones, and I had 2 older boys, so a total of 5 kids. It was kind of, it was a lot of stress, and got me to a point where I'm now 100% in a wheelchair. But on a positive note, I've learned to turn things around. I've taken control of that. More so, like I said before, eating right, becoming keto, exercising more, doing yoga, trying to eliminate all the stressful things I possibly can out of my life. And then other things, putting a more positive spin on it if I can, to try to balance out life. But we all know that every day can never be positive. So I had to learn to adjust to that when I have those down days, that they don't keep me down. So that's what I've been doing.
Well, that's good. That's good. If you can just keep that positive spin, and of course, it is difficult to keep that positive spin all the time, especially if you're in pain or you feel, you feel debilitated in some way.
Right.
But if you can just spin it off and change that perception and look at it from a different angle, I'm sure that helps us a lot.
It's one of those things that trying to spin it. I mean, I'm not sure about a lot of people, but I know for me, you hear the positive stuff a lot. All on social media, everybody's positive, and it's one of those things where it's like, no, that's not life. Because it's you have rainy days, and on those rainy days are the days that you got to learn to look at those positive days and realize that this won't last either. that this
Mm-hmm.
is something temporary and that it will pass. That's what generally gets me through my down days. That, this is life. Things happen. There are things that you can't control, but the things you can, you should totally grab hold of it and move it into the direction you need it to, and just go with it. But those down days, I mean, those are those days that I really firmly believe that I've learned that you have to look at all the things that have happened to you, positive, negative, good, bad, and take that in perspective and
Mm-hmm.
move with it.
Yes, yes, yes. And move forward.
Right,
So it's just like one step at a time,
right.
which is beautiful anyway. So I like that. I love that attitude, Kevin. It's really great. So that's helped you move forward, I'm sure, a lot, regardless of what's happening around you. So it's an internal job, really, right?
Right, right, right.
Yes.
I mean, there's external work you can do. I mean, you know, uh, being prior military, there's things that I've learned that you want to have in order externally too. Having a neat home, having a lot of paying your bills on time, having some kind of schedule, how you shop, how your day goes, to eliminate a lot of stress.
Mm-hmm.
And externally, you want to try to surround yourself with positive people, as much as you can, because sad enough, the world we live in now, yes, there is a lot of positivity on social media, but there are not a lot of positive people, and I find that there's an irony in that for me. It's that thing of, yeah, you hear all this positivity, but do you really know what's going on behind the scenes? And that's the trick, because it's easy to jump on a stream and put a smile on and you're like, yeah, everything's good, but then when it's over, it's like, oh my god, I really hate my life. This is just much. Oh goodness. So there's that. And I've seen that. Matter of fact, I've seen it so much that I've taken it upon myself to try to help fix that. I've decided to write several books, which at this point now I'm at the point of where I'm trying to find out how I'm going to get them published. And I know we spoke on this last time I was on. Uh,
Yes. Yes.
yeah, I've got two done with the manuscripts. I've submitted to my friend Dino for him to look at them and get back to me on that. And then move forward with that. And in the process of doing that, I'm also looking at trying to write another one about relationships and how, now we have all these weird, strange ways that we socialize and interact with each other, that we're seem to be missing the whole purpose of relationships, and that's to interact and be real and be honest and meet people and friends who we can trust and share the deepest, darkest parts of ourselves and still feel accepted. uh,
Yes.
that's not the way it is now.
It's very interesting. I just want to go back on social media. I've been like, we've been playing for a while, just leave it. And then for the last few months, I've decided, okay, you know what, I need to just get into social media and use it for what it's worth. And it's very interesting how it's a whole different game. And it's all exactly that. It's just one-dimensional people who
Right,
show their best face.
right,
And a lot of times you just wonder what their life really is like. And I mean, true, everyone lives their lives the way they want to, but it's very shallow and very cold almost. So we're lacking that. We people, we need to have that human interaction. So I'm really excited about this book that you're writing. Tell us a bit more about your take on it, your take on relationships, on modern relationships, for the
well,
want of a better word.
like you were saying, I mean, I do have to disagree with you with the fact that people are living their life the way they want. I don't believe that. I believe that people are living their life according to what social media dictates them to. And that
Right.
left them empty. It's that, oh, I got to get the likes, so I got to do this, or what's trendy on this? Let me do that. And, they're creating these personas that don't really imitate real life. And you have other people that are watching these platforms and seeing it, and they're like, I want to be like that. And then they fall short, and then my life sucks because I can't be like this person, or I can't do like this person does. And it's creating we're creating a society of people who just can't love themselves, pretty much. And that's the take I've taken on it. I look at it as that you want to have this life. All as kids, we all grow up with these images of how life is supposed to be and stuff like this, and things happen. Life happens, and sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's tragic. But there are rules we should have had to show us how to adapt to that, to take control of our lives. And that's one of the things that with my kids, I work with all the time, of taking control of their life, teaching them, lessons of discernment, how to know the truth from something that's false. And that's one of the major areas that I see now that seems to be lacking, because like I said before, and not to harp on social media, because obviously we're using it now to spread a message, but some people are spreading that negative message. And like I said, you see these people on social media and it's like, oh my God, they got the nice life. Look at where they are. They're in the Caribbean, or they're touring Paris, and look at a nice car and the social events that they're attending. Oh my God, I wish I can do that. And well, we can't. It's just we can't. And then because of that, they hate themselves. And it's like, okay, understand that this is just a platform, that this is just a snapshot of their life. And you don't know what's happening behind the scenes. You don't know how they got there. You don't know what they did. And so, with my book, it's that thing of making that clear, teaching people, reteaching people discernment, that sometimes you got to look at stuff and realize that you can't believe everything you see, and can't believe everything you hear, and even if they are doing that, have you figured out how you can? And because what got them there, yes, some of the steps you can take, but are you in a position to do that? Have you positioned yourself to do that? Do you have the resources to do that? Can you get the resources to do that? And it's more of becoming self-aware of you.
Yes.
Because in any relationship, that's the most important part. You can't bring love or a good relationship to a table if you don't have it in you. It won't happen. You have these interactions that create all these other little weird little things, and when I say weird little things, I mean things like, what is it? Frenemies. I've heard all these crazy terms from my kids, frenemies, and that hookup culture, and, stuff like that, and it's like, wow, how do you?
Yeah, it's a whole different world. But again, it goes back to not understanding relationships and not being taught, possibly, because obviously, you learn relationships from your parents. And I'm not saying, and a lot of times they are dysfunctional anyway. However, it's you learn something from them. And this whole thing, I think it always boils down to the self-love, because you'll find that you don't you attract who you are, right? So if you don't love yourself, you attract all these abusive relationships. And I'm not saying abusive as in, I mean, some people do attract those physically abusive relationships, but many times it's not even that. It's the verbally abusive relationships where you abuse each other, and those are even worse. Those are so damaging. So that's interesting. So I'm really excited that you're educating, because that's what it is. Because right now, for me as well, it's this instant.
No, don't worry.
He agrees. It's fine. It's this instant culture that everyone wants everything now. So
Right.
if they've got the car, I need the car because they must have just got the car or whatever it is. So it's also that it's realizing that if you want something, you need to take action and do it, not sit behind a computer and play games or whatever you do.
Right.
I mean, and of course, and I'm not knocking games because people make, there's professional gamers and all. That's a whole different
Right.
game,
Right.
different thing. And then another thing I just wanted to acknowledge was the comparison trap. That's what I've called it. It's so easy in social media to compare yourself. So you see these women there, with their perfect bodies but you don't know what they're wearing underneath those clothes, and you
Right.
don't know what they look like afterwards. Because, with makeup and all these, I don't know, whatever you wear underneath, whatever spandex or whatever those things are,
Right.
you can make yourself look beautiful.
Oh yeah.
But you don't know who that real person is behind. So that's something that people need to be aware of all the time.
Oh,
Is how real are these people?
yeah, but see, here's the thing about that. That's one of those things that people aren't being real. It's easy to put up a front. It's easy to put up this persona that's bigger than life because you're trying to get likes. And I have to go back to what you're saying about self-love. There are people now in the world that are finding that the only way they can love themselves is if they got like 1 million likes or 20,000 likes, and
It's pointless to me. Yeah.
right. Yeah, it's crazy because it's like what you said. These are personas. It's just like when we watched, shows back when we were kids and stuff like that. These were not the real, as a child, yeah, you said you see Captain America on there and you'd be like, yeah, Captain America bigger than life. He's real life. But it's really Chris Evans. He has a life outside of that. But
Yes, of
they're
course, of
they're not
course.
learning that. It's that's Captain America and wow, I want to be just like him. And it's hurting them in ways that they can't comprehend yet. Like I also want to touch back on that thing about things you learn from your parents. Now, I consider myself one of the most dysfunctional people because there were things that I learned from my parents that were not really that good. Their relationship was not the best. I mean, I seen that, and in a lot of ways, I mimicked that. In relationships that I was in, but it was that realization that I wasn't happy, and I had to go back and self-evaluate. Where I learned this from, and make changes. And that seems also to be the issue that I stress in my book that you can't blame your parents for everything.
No.
Yeah, at some point, their failures, and if you don't know them, you are learning their failures, and from that gives you the opportunity to make those changes, not
Yes.
not continue on that path because all you're doing is just continuing on it, and then you want to complain about it. It's like it defeats the purpose. Well, it's my parents' fault because I'm like this, or it's my parents' fault because this relationship doesn't work. Okay, so what are you doing about it? What
Yes.
what are you doing about it? I don't know what to do. No, you do. You do. You honestly do. You just don't want to look at it. And that's that part that we have to come back to learning that, we have to learn to accept some truths about ourselves, good, bad, or ugly. It just, like you were saying about the women, a lot of women not, feeling good and comfortable about themselves because they see these images on social media. Guys are the same way. We have, you got the Chris Evans, the Chris Hemsworth, the Idris Elba's out there that are just like, oh my God, that dude is really handsome. Yeah, I'm not in that top 20%. So nobody's gonna want me, you know. So
And that's not true.
yeah,
Sorry, I'm going to interject right here. Just hold that thought, okay? Sorry, Kevin. Excuse
hmm
me. Because otherwise, um, we don't realize that everyone has a different perception of beauty,
right.
right?
hmm
First, And secondly, there's no ways that anyone is ugly. There's no ways that beauty is like so over personified, and it's so glorified in our society. And a lot of time, and most of the time, those people are airbrushed and they made so beautiful because technology is so beautiful, right? And it's about us realizing how beautiful we are, and it's really about heart. For
Right.
me, it's about heart and soul. So a person can look different because everyone has their own version again of who they think is beautiful. But it's heart, and the heart shines through, and when the heart shines through the face and the eyes, and the deeds that people do, become beautiful, and people see you as beautiful.
Now I want to interject right there.
Yes, please do.
That's true. That is absolutely true. But see, in today's society, you can cover that up because a lot of people do. Look, like I started off at the beginning of this, there's a lot of people that have, that positive attitude, but they are not beautiful inside.
Oh,
You have women that are just drop dead gorgeous, and they are not beautiful inside whatsoever. But from the outside, they do. My grandmother used to say that thing of you can wrap shit in a box and put a bow on it, and people will think it's a beautiful gift, but it's still, that's what it is. And that's that part that we have to realize and understand that what happened to that moral code that made us look at people from the heart, not just from the outside. Because you see these older couples, and it's like, yeah, you see younger pictures of them, and they were like, oh yeah, they were really gorgeous. And then you see them as old couples, and then they're walking holding hands, and maybe the old man might smack her on the butt or something like that, and he's like, that's
so
cool.
beautiful. Yes.
It does, yeah, but it's because they love from the heart.
Yes.
This social construct that has been created now, that beauty is what we deem it is. Not too long ago, and it's one of those fascinating things for me. As a black male growing up in Chicago, one of the things that I found fascinating is, black guys are always into like girls and butts, right? Big butts and stuff like that. But that was not a thing back then. You had, on TV, you had, this image of what beauty was, the thin frame and maybe big boobs and stuff like that. That's what beauty was. And so you had a lot of women following suit. Now it just seems like there's just been an explosion within the last decade of where everybody is like at the gym doing booty exercises, and you got to have a butt, and this is what you got to do. And this is the thing. And it's one of those things where it's like, see, it's just like anything else. It's a fad. Beauty is turned into a fad to where whatever Hollywood or the magazines deem as beautiful, this is what everyone's chasing. And they're not chasing those things that make you love from the heart, where you really want to do something to help people for the of helping them, not for the sake of likes. You really want to look at a person not just because they got cool hair or a nice body, but they got a great character. This is a person that when they see a old lady crossing the street, that they'll go over and help. Or you open a door for a woman. Oh, but God forbid you do that now. It's like, what? I can't open the door for myself? No, I don't. No, I don't need you to open the door for me. Because there's that thing going now where women some women are like, we don't need men. We don't need them. Anything you can do too.
Of course, well, you don't need each other. You want each other, right?
Right.
That's the different thing. And it's time to appreciate. Sorry. I mean, it's time to appreciate chivalry and to appreciate each other for exactly what you're saying, for who you are and for the little things you can do for each other. You know what? So what? Of course, I can open the door for me, but it's really a pleasure that someone does it for me. That loves me. I won't even put love in it. That just cares so much about me. That does that for me. Like for me, it's okay for me to make you a cup of coffee when I'm making myself a cup of coffee.
Right.
Because why not? It's just because I care about you, so I'm going to make you a cup of coffee. Because it's little things like that that make the difference in a relationship, and it's just showing you care. So I think people have taken this to a whole wrong level, for the want of a better word, and this is going to might trigger a few people, but that's life.
That's see, the whole point of me writing this is to trigger people, because I want to trigger them, because it's that whole thing of no. What is wrong with that? Someone to make you coffee in the morning. Oh, somebody opened the door for you. They have taken the time out of their life to just open a door for you. Not
yes.
it's because there's something behind it. Just because of the fact that I just felt like opening the door for you. I look at you and I'm so compassionate for you that I just want to open the door for you.
Yes. It's just common decency, right? Courtesy.
Mm-hmm. And it's those basic things that we seem to have lost, that the generations now don't seem to recognize. It's everyone wants to be, this boss babe, or, and they put all these weird names to things that, my sons, I look at them and it's like one of these things, like when it comes to my daughter. Now, my sons are not good at talking to women, even though they have a sister. And I always tell them that if you can't talk to your sister, you really can't talk to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And but I find that they're learning how. And with that, and one of the things I find is that I got to get on her every now and then about that thing of when they're nice. They're just doing something nice for you. There's no ulterior motive. They're doing it just because you're their sister. And
yes.
this is the things that they do. You have to learn, their language. And that's that thing that a lot of people they don't want to put that effort into no more. Learning the different languages of different people. And I don't mean as far as, English, Spanish, or anything like that. I mean, how they operate in the world, their language. This is what they do. When they're upset, like me, when I get upset, I tend to draw back and, fold into my thoughts. And that's not a good thing. That's one of the things where my kids have learned to do it, where they're like, hey, what's going on? What are you thinking about? You seem like you're preoccupied with what you're thinking. And I find that is the most compassionate thing that I've seen, because they know me. And that's the thing that we all want to experience, but we all lack doing it. Because you can't experience something if you don't know how to do it yourself.
Yes.
And no, go ahead.
I was just wanted to add to that is that many times you're afraid. Many times you feel it and you second guess it. So, how many times do you feel that you want to say something to someone, but you second guess yourself and you think, you know what, you're being silly, but you can feel it. And I think a big thing for us is to trust our intuition. So if you're connected, if you know somebody or you're connected with someone and you feel there's something wrong, you should have the courage to say, hey, you know what, I'm here. Or, hey, what's going on? And a lot of times for myself, I mean, I can only talk about myself, right? A lot of times with myself, I second guess myself. And what happens is it spirals into something crazy because I'm second guessing myself. So the next time I see the person, I've got the guard up, and then they feel the guard because obviously, and it messes up with the whole the dynamics of the relationship. Whereas if we can just be like, say, okay, you know what, whatever happens, I'll say what I'm feeling and saying, hey, you know what, Kevin, I can see that you're not feeling okay. Is there something I can do? Or I'm feeling that you're hurting today. Or, you know what, I saw that social media post. Hey, what's going on?
Right.
If we can do that and allow ourselves to do that, I think that it will make a whole difference to relationships. But I think, again, is that we need to be taught those skills because they're not taught.
Right. I mean, I tell my kids, a lot of people, not just my kids, but when we're born into this world, we come in here preset with emotions. Now, with that, those emotions have to be trained and taught how to use them. You combine that with logic. That's what your parents are supposed to bring to the table. You come in as a crazy person, a child that's just emotional that, oh, I want this, I want that, I want to touch this. Whoa, what is that? And you going through all these emotions that need to be harnessed.
Yes.
And so in that, these are the things that, again, we do need to be taught how to harness that, how to recognize, our intuition and our instincts, and to know when to trust them, that they're right. And
Yes. Yes.
that brings us back to the discernment. I mean, yeah, we seem to have lost the ability to discern right from wrong. It's now we just go with what we feel, and that's it. If this is what I feel like doing, I'll get up and do it. If not, I'm not. And that's hindering. That is stifling, because sometimes what you may not feel like doing may be the best thing for you to do. You know, I'm a person that's disabled in the wheelchair, trying to write a book, trying to write a best-selling book, trying to write several best-selling books. And I tell you, there are times that no, nobody's gonna want to hear that. Your life, man. It's no, you're just this kid from Chicago that fell up on hard times, and nobody wants to know that. But what if there is someone that does? What if there's some part of your story that can relate to someone? What if you actually do have information that other people don't know or do know, and you just confirm it? You know, what about that? And that's how I take that. That's how I deal with it. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna write it. Okay, so I'm gonna get past that fear, and I'm gonna write this because maybe I do have something to share. Maybe I have learned something in all of the stumbles that I've been in, to share with people about insight and discernment and trusting your instincts, and how to make real friends, how to be a real friend, not just to others but yourself. How can I make better relationships? That's what I'm looking at.
Wow, I love that. And that's exactly what we need right now is just like show us the way, show us the way. And it's not in a preaching way. It's not in a like, hey, you've got to do this. It's like, okay, this is my life. This is what I've got. This is how I did it. Take it and do what you must. But
Well,
at least, yes, giving people that exposure almost of something, of relationships from a whole different angle.
right.
Because relationships have become quite a dirty word almost, but we can't live without relationships, first of all. But
Oh,
it's
yeah.
become dirty, especially the so-called romantic relationships, because of all these things that are, like changes and different ways people are doing things. So it's really quite a contentious, scary kind of subject for some.
Yeah, I mean, on the fact of romantic relationships, we are in, for me, and yes, I am going to sound preachy because, you know, that's just who I am. But in romantic relationships, they've taken this to a whole new level. I mean, it's the hookup culture. It's the guys now who are finding e-girlfriends. They don't really want to date anymore. They just go on these sites and pay money and socialize with these women on there, instead of actually getting out and talking to people and interacting. We've seemed to come into a generation that has, like I stated earlier, that has lost that ability to actually interact and have interpersonal interaction now. It's weird. It's really weird. It's almost like no, it's not almost like it is. The script has been flipped, where you have more women out there now that are working, doing a lot of things, building a career and all this, where you have more guys now that just don't want to talk to them at all. They'd rather sit in the house behind an Xbox and play the game. And a lot of that also is because of the fact that a lot of guys are afraid now to talk because, you have that toxic femininity that's out there that ruins that. A guy comes up and say something to you and he's not, doesn't have a 6-figure job and he's not buff and he's not driving this type of car, they get shut down. Because most women are looking for that top 10% guy, the Elon Musk or I ain't gonna say Warren Buffett because he's a little bit too old, but you know what I mean. That, and the average guy doesn't follow suit now. I mean, guys like, the local plumber who makes pretty good money, nobody's going to talk to him. What do you do for a living? I'm a plumber. Yeah, no. Yeah, but that guy might be really good. He might be, he's making an honest living, taking care of himself, and he may actually be the ideal person. But because of the outward appearance or what this construct we have in our head of what he should be like or what we should be, what we should have for ourselves, we block that out. We just like no. Mm-mm. And we go for the ones that we know are bad for us. We know. We absolutely do. And I'm a firm believer that I am not that person that can sit here and say that a person that's an adult does not recognize that they're getting into a bad situation. You do, but you choose it because of your own injuries. And that goes right back to what we said again about self-love, and these are the relationships that are happening now. It's weird. It's weird and fascinating at the same time. I see it all the time where on social media you see these women that are super hot at the gym and stuff like that, and they're doing the exercise and they're more focused on filming what they're doing, and guys walk by and look at them and they give them that look like, what are you looking at? What are you doing? I'm looking at you. I mean, that's what you want me to do. Oh, no, you want me to look at you when we're on social media where I can pay for it. And that way you can, I'm supporting your lifestyle, but I'm not really getting anything out of it. I can't do that, but you got a lot of guys that can. I mean, they really do. I mean, I don't want to mention certain sites, but, there are sites that start with O that are making billions of dollars off of single, lonely guys, that trying to find self-worth. And the people on there are giving them temporary fixes. That's what they are. Temporary fixes to care about themselves with little comments and things that they got to pay for that make them, I don't know, feel better about themselves. And the average guy nowadays feels that it's a whole lot easier to do that than to actually get out, go somewhere, library, grocery store, maybe even a club, and speak to people. They just won't do it. They just won't. And I find that sad too, because on the flip side, you got a lot of good women out there that are looking for people like that are decent, that are good, but they're not, there's no way they can connect. There's a disconnect there. So that's another one of the topics that I cover, how to get out of that box, get out of the house, get out of that chair, get out there and mingle, live life, Not, don't make it a goal to go out there and meet someone. Make it a goal to go out there and live life. And
Yes.
live, go do something you want to do. If it's get on the bike, go ride. Maybe you might meet somebody while you're riding the bike. Now that's not your intention. Your intention is to do something you like. But in that whole experience, you may meet somebody that you share similar beliefs with, but we're not doing that. We're not at all. And so,
Yes.
yeah, but like I said, it's weird. It is the craziest thing. I mean, I'm 55 years old, and I've had my series of relationships. A lot of them bad, but even at this age, I still see that I want more. I want to have a relationship that inspires me, that makes me feel good about being me, and
Mm.
not just make me feel good, but me being able to make someone else feel good about them being them. And you've heard me say it, in private several times that, I don't think that's possible because, no, not too many people are going to date a guy that's in a wheelchair, especially, up in older age, because it's like, nope, don't want that responsibility. No, mm-mm. But it doesn't cause, I haven't lost hope in that, It's one of those things where it's like, if I do lose hope in that, then what's the whole point of living?
Mm. Mm. Mm.
The world is a big place. It's a beautiful place. There are bad things that happen in the world. There are bad people in the world. And there are skills and virtues that we need to have to be able to discern that
Mm. Mm.
and recognize that so that we can create the best life for ourselves. And in the process of creating the best life for ourselves, well, there's that thing that a lot of people really don't want to believe in, the law of attraction. There is a lot of truth to that. If you are building a life that's worth living, sooner or later, someone's going to come along that's building the same way you are, and you two can build together, and then you have it, and so
Yes.
it's possible, but we got to learn it again. We got to learn it.
Yes. I think it boils down a lot to faith and trust and in yourself and to live your life on your terms, right? Where you're doing what you love. You're doing what you love and you're not focusing on finding that relationship.
Right.
Because you know what, it doesn't matter. One of our podcasts that we did a few months back was about relationships and how I always come back to my grandmother who said, "There's a pot, there's a lid for every pot."
Right.
So you've got you've got to remember that because these everyone, as I said, for me, these superficial relationships are worthless. Like, it doesn't matter what car you drive. It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter how much money you've got in the bank. For me, for me, it matters about who you are. Who are you really?
Right.
Because those are superficial things. I mean, they're great and they make you look good and feel good. But for me, they're superficial things. For me, it's what are you doing? Who are you? Who are you really? Who are you in your heart? If you say something, do you do what you say you're going to do?
Right.
Those kind of
Right.
things. And those are the people that I'm interested in, that I want in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Because and those are the people that you'll find, because that's who I want to be. That's who I am, like. And I think, again, you attract who you want to attract, who you are really into your life.
Right.
In my experience. So yes, I live my life on my terms, and I live, and I think, well, you know what? If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And I know that sounds very romantic and very fatalist, or whatever you want to say, but I believe that that's the way it is.
That's the way it should be. I mean, see, we've lost the romantic notion. It's like romance is thrown out the window. It's for, right, what you said, superficial stuff that
Mm-hmm.
temporary fixes. I mean, back when I was a kid in my 20s, going on a date didn't just always mean going to a restaurant, or going to a movie. It was because you really can't talk. It was going for a walk, going to sit in the park, because it's not so much about the the experience, but more about uh, the environment that you're creating. You know,
Mm.
you're sitting there in the park and it's just you and them, and you get to talk and you get to ask questions and answer questions back, and you get to know this person. But again, sadly, a lot of people are afraid to share that, because they're afraid of the backlash that they may get from, the past hurts or the past experience that they may have. And um, I'm also a firm believer in that the things that you experience in life are lessons. And if you learn from those lessons, then there are good things to share. Now, if you haven't, all right, you're right. You need to fix that before you decide to share that, because that's where these broken relationships come from, because you haven't fixed it. And so you're going to share it when you get with someone else, but it's only going to create havoc, chaos, drama,
Yes. Yes.
unnecessary drama.
Yes.
So those hurts have to be fixed. And
Mm.
we have to learn to not be afraid to be who we are.
It's a big one.
Right. To live your life on your terms requires you not to be afraid. You can't live your life the way you want to if you're afraid. Afraid that if, I like comic books, but I can't tell nobody that because I'm a 55-year-old man and we're not supposed to read that. No, no, why? I mean, it's what you like, and I like gummy cherries, and stuff like that, but we don't share that stuff. We keep it close because we've been hurt, we've been laughed at, we've been mocked, um, we've been ridiculed about those things. And it's created a self-image of ourselves that we wind up kicking our own self in the tail because we no, I don't want to bring that up no more because last time I was laughed. No, it we got to get past it. We got to get past the fear of that, because maybe the person that laughed at you last time wasn't the right person for you, and you got to see that, you got to accept it. So again, we go back to discernment. You got to be able to recognize what's good for you. You got to recognize what's wrong for you. And when it's wrong, you either correct it, and that could mean either fixing the problem or getting the problem out of your life. One of the two. In order for us to really come to accept ourselves and love ourselves and live your life on your terms. These are the things that are essential for having any relationship. And pretty much that's where my book is going with that. It's learn to love you. These are the fundamentals. Love you for all your faults. Love you for all the things you've done wrong. Now, did you learn anything from the things you did wrong? Yes. Okay, then you're good. If you didn't, learn. Figure out how to learn. It's not hard. You have the internet now, and everything's right at your fingertips. There are plenty of counselors online that you can start talking uh, to learn this. Fix those problems so that you can fix your life and live on your terms. And it's finding yourself and breaking that fear and moving forward. It's that's what it's all about. That's what we're here for. Contrary to popular beliefs that many of us think that we're going to be around forever, we have a limited time here, and at a certain point in our life, our parents are no longer control of that, and it now becomes our life, and it becomes our decisions. So the relationships that we've
Okay, we seem to have lost Kevin.
there we
Oh, you're back. Oh, good.
That was my
Very nice. I loved that, Kevin. I agreed with everything you were saying, and I just want to reiterate the last thing before you just blacked out for 2 seconds. Was the thing about parents. It's so easy to blame your parents for everything.
Mm-hmm.
When are you going to take responsibility and say, you know what, this is my life, I want it this way, and let me learn from my parents. Let me be better than and be better than what they did, and be better than I was yesterday, and help others do the same.
Yeah.
Let's elevate each other, and let's just meet each other and connect and talk to each other with no expectations.
Right. It's about being accountable. It's about being accountable for your life. And that's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to look at each other with compassion and understand that we're human. This is a broken experience that we're going through. And the only way that we can, live a life that we want to live through this is to understand that no, there were things that our parents should have taught us. And there were things that we should have learned. But we got to have the compassion to understand that, this happened and that some of us are still in the process of learning. And some of us want to learn, but we don't know how. And you're right. We need to, for those of us who do know, we need to share that. And we need to share that compassion and say, hey, you know what? I know what you're going through. I see it, and I see your hurt. And, if you need to talk, hey, I'm a soundboard for you. These are our relationships are established and create those deep bonds. But before you do that, you really have to be accountable for you. Are you taking that? Are you taking those proactive steps to, ensure you're happy, not just, putting on a smile and, faking it for the day and you going back and locking yourself in a room. But are you being actually accountable for your life? All right. Because you are in charge of your happiness. You are. No one else. No one. You are the beginning and the end of that. And that's what we have to stick to. That's exactly where everything has to go. So, on that note, that's what I'm looking at.
Wow, I love that. And on that note, I think that's a perfect note to end this episode. However, I think this is such a wide subject, and because you write in your book, you've become an expert, right? I think we'll have a second it's a second edition, or so to speak, to go deep some of these concepts a bit deeper.
Okay.
What do you say, Kevin?
I'm fine with that. I mean,
okay,
I would love to do that. I mean, like I said, there's subjects in there that I do want to, touch on more. That in the book, because I didn't want to write a War and Peace novel. I cut it short, but yeah, there are a lot of chapters in there I would like to speak on more and elaborate a lot more. And this would probably be the best platform for that. So yes, whenever you're ready.
That's perfect. So, and if anybody's got any questions regarding relationships, hey, bring them to the table. Thank you so much, Kevin. This has been beautiful. I love this. An hour just disappears when you're having fun, right? Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for this this conversation. It's such an important conversation, and we need to share more of these conversations so people can realize that it's safe. It is safe to be yourself. It is safe. And if you love yourself, when you get to that point, you need to love yourself and start with yourself before you go out and share yourself with others.
Exactly.
So thank you. Any last comments, Kevin, before we go?
No, the only thing is I'm kind of sad that Dino wasn't on, because I always get a kick out of talking to him.
I know. So am I. I'm also very sad, but Dino's on his doing speaking engagements in Chicago, so he's really busy. So I'm sorry about that. I know he brings in his own unique perspective, and that's what just makes it fun.
Yeah. But
next time maybe.
Yeah, other than that, I mean, the only thing I want to leave everyone with is the fact that, as you begin your days every day, take a look in that mirror and look at yourself and realize that you are all you have and you are all you got. Become accountable. Love yourself. Love the things that you do. The things that you don't want to do, don't do them. You don't have to. This is your life. This is yours, only yours. And the only person that can take control of that is you.
Yes. So take that advice. That is beautiful advice to end this episode. Thank you again, Kevin. This has been like an honor and a pleasure. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you
And
very
thank you, everybody. And thank you, everyone who's been watching. And we'll see you all next week.
much.
Thank you.
Thank
See
you.
Bye. Bye.